The year was 2018, and I got a call that changed everything. I remember it was a Sunday, and Dave worked every Saturday and Sunday, and he was bright, bubbly, always showed up, was the leader of our team. We had a team of almost 40 employees in Victoria, and I live in Queensland, so a long way away. And Dave was responsible for running that entire business, that entire operation. And I got the call on Sunday that said, Dave's not in, he's not at work, and he's not answering his phone. And instantly you know something is wrong. Because it was way out of his character for that to happen. He loved the business. He loved what we had achieved in such a short time. We had grown to 4 stores, tens of millions of dollars. And it was a way for him to prove to himself, not to anyone else, but to prove to himself that he could do it. He had a rough few years, had a divorce, and this was his way to get back on his feet, to give life another go. And he did it. He built it all. He was the driving force behind that business. And when I got that call, I knew instantly what had happened. And the day Dave took his life, it changed everything. We had multiple stores across states, staff, debt, and I never had my finger on the pulse for that business because it was Dave's. It was his pride and joy. He built the whole thing. So I'll never know exactly why or the thought process he had to make that decision, but I wish I did. Because you never know what the underlying issue is. Relationships, money, I don't know. And we'll never know the answer. And I think when things like that happen, you shouldn't even go searching for the answer. It's sad, it's tough, still tough to this day. Just looking back on everything we created, and he was so close. He was so close. He was right there. But he made the decision and ended it. And the repercussions were huge. Businesses suffered rapidly, quickly. I couldn't commit myself fully to that operation because of our other businesses across other states. I couldn't react quick enough to make changes and save that business. And after battling for 18 months, 2 years, then came the pandemic. And when things like that happen, if you think about that situation, when all that first came out and everyone's locked down and you really just don't know what's going to happen. We didn't know there'd be JobKeeper. We didn't know any of this would exist. We didn't know that the government would be doing handouts and finding ways to keep business afloat. We just didn't know. And that business was so dire that we just couldn't afford to have 2 weeks of no sales and paying wages and paying rent. And so in times like that, I always think that stress comes from lack of control. And we were stressed to the hills, like you've never seen before. And that affects everything. And in those times, you have to take action. You have to make a decision. So I pulled the Band-Aid. I liquidated that business. Millions of dollars. Lawyers, liquidators, suppliers, landlords threatening, suing. It was rough, really rough. But I think those times when you have to make a decision. If you don't make a decision, the dwelling and the length of not making that decision will just eat you up over and over and over. So make a decision and live with the consequence. That's what I did. So for the 12 months after that, we had lawyers battling, getting everything thrown at me left, right, and center. And I never wish this on anybody. I'm scarred heavily. And still doing business, still very cautious with business. And the unpredictability, but some things you can just never plan for. And Dave making that decision and getting that phone call, you would just never expect it. So sometimes in business, things happen that you can't control. And when it all goes bad, my advice to you is make a decision. Take control, whether it's good or bad, because you will spend weeks, months, years thinking about a decision when the best decision is to make a decision and just take action and deal with it tomorrow. So I hope you get something by sharing my story. Did I bounce back? Yes, all good. Back on my feet, business is going well, family's doing well. So you can recover from these times, these challenges. But we still to this day remember my great mate Dave and everything we built together. It was pretty special. So if you're having a hard time in business, or you know of friends of yours that are having a hard time or liquidation or financially struggling, just pick up the phone, because you might just save their life.